and welcome back to another. We're on episode 5, celebration time. Before we start, Herbs, please stop DDoSing me, okay? It's not gonna make MVP any better. It's not gonna make you come back on the LCK Discord. Just stop DDoSing me. Stop it. I'm trying to operate Discord, and it's not working. I'm blaming it on you, buddy. Anyways, let's talk about the LCK standings. First place Kingzone 9-2, up 14 match differential, which is insane. Second place KT 9-3, up 9 game differential. Then we have the Freaka Freaks in third place, 8 game differential, 8-4. Then after that, it's going to be KSV with a 1 game differential, 6-5. Fifth place Rocks Tiger, neutral game differential, 6-5. Sixth place is SKT, 5-6 with a -1. After that, seventh place BBQ, 4-7, -4. Also at 4-7 is Jin but they're at -5 game differential, so they're going to fall at 8th place. At 3-8, we have MVP. What a surprise. -11 game differential. And then Kongdu, 2-9, also a -11 game differential. But yeah, that's where we're at as far as LCK standings go. But first of all, speaking of earlier, I talked about KT being in second place. I'm really honestly looking for that first place position. They played Jin at the end of last week. Got a fairly confident win. Then this week they lost to Rocks Tigers, right?
Yeah, they
But
got
then
absolutely
yeah,
smashed.
but then they put in UCal against Kongdu Monsters and ended up winning that one. Uh, I didn't know that Twitch allowed this kind of bullying to be on their streaming. That match was on. I mean, I was really excited for Kongdu coming into the season, especially how they started. I was like, this is gonna be different. This is the Kongdu that I was waiting for 2 splits ago when
Yeah,
they lost to made it to the finals of Kespa, beat SKT in the semifinals. Or no, sorry, no, they beat KT in the semifinals or Samsung, one of the two. Made it to the finals against Rocks. They got smashed, of course, but they did really well at Kespa Cup. And then the next split, they did awful, got relegated. Now they're back. I was like, this is the time. And now they're the worst team in the LCK again. Uh,
yeah, they seem to be pretty just relegation bound. One of
yeah,
those teams.
which is sad. At least it wasn't like I said the time where they came off of second place Kespa and then like didn't win a single like how MVP was didn't win a single game for like the first half of the season.
Yeah,
But on the flip side, KT, although they lost to Rocks, that was pretty bad. But now that they have UCal in, do you see UCal starting more consistently for KT?
well, I definitely see them starting at least one more series because that the series against Conde Monster didn't really show us anything really impressive. Sure, he was really aggressive and he seemed to be mechanically really good, but like it was against a team that was essentially feeding or losing in CS in
Mm-hmm.
every position. And sure, like there were a couple of good moves by UCal, and notably in game one when he got ganked by Raze, he didn't like turn back and sort of flub and escape. What he did was he went forward into the gank and then escaped through the side with his flash, which was really impressive. And also in game two, he essentially got 4v1'd in top lane, cut off from his entire team, and managed to completely control the tribe rush zone with his ear soldiers.
Mm-hmm.
And like it harkened back to the what is it Phoenix play on Azir, where he managed to essentially just solo out a team for long enough that his team was able to interrupt any escapes, and he won them that fight. So sure, he was like slightly impressive, but it was impressive for um, not only him but Mata, and it just didn't really feel like Kongdu
Yeah.
put up much of a fight. So hopefully we see him in one more series. He looked better than Pond did in his year, but is he in his year one track? We don't know. Is he was that just two lucky games against a losing team that's at the bottom of the standings right now? We don't know. Um, at least next series or next week, I guess they're against the Freak of Freaks.
They're
Um,
also
or no,
they're
they're not
against
against the Freaka.
SKT.
They're against
Yeah,
SKT
and then they play KSV, which
and
is
then
gonna be a tough week.
KSV. Yeah, so like that's more sort of middle of the road teams that'll give us a better approximation, especially against Faker, one of the best like players of all time.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. That Yukao, if he does start next series, he's gonna have the biggest test that really any
Yeah,
rookie or not, yeah, rookie could have, uh, playing against Faker, which is not an easy feat to do. I think that if he does even mediocre in that match, which is much more than Pawn has ever done in recent history against Faker, then I think that he's basically guaranteed to start for the rest of the split.
yeah,
But that is definitely going to be the test, playing against Faker and then right after that playing against Crown. Sure, it's a struggling Crown, but it's Crown nonetheless. So I do expect him to play at least, I would say, 3 games next week. Not 3 matches, 3 games. He's going to play 1 game in each series. At the very minimum, he'll play 3 games total. I see him like I said, the very minimum. But I see him playing the entire match for both matches. Because honestly, I don't expect him to do poorly against either of those teams, and he's definitely going to be doing a lot better than Pon would have been doing.
yeah. It really depends on how confident KT is in him at the
Yeah.
moment. I can definitely see if they're not 100% confident in him, them starting with Pawn for SKT and then maybe subbing Pawn out later on in the series if Pawn's doing poorly. But I can definitely see him starting for the KSV match. It's a weaker mid lane. It's against Crown, who's not been very proactive
Hmm.
recently. It's somebody that an aggressive rookie can really manipulate and control. So I can see him starting for that.
Uh,
Uh, what was I going to say? I had a thought there, but
oh,
like blown out of my
uh,
head there. Sorry.
it's all right.
Uh,
But I definitely another thing that we on the note of KT. I know the last episode we weren't trash talking them, but we were like doubting them.
yeah,
Are we as and really the entire LCK community is kind of still treating them as a lower upper tier team, like of the upper of all the like top 4 teams. Like if we're looking at like a free first of all, obviously KSV is often treated as a first, I mean not KSV, sorry, Kingzone treated as the first best
yeah.
team. Afterwards, we see the conversation of Afrika,
Africa Freaks are
and
KT.
then yeah, third team
And
KT. Do they belong in like the best team conversation? Because now they're creeping up on that first place position.
I really think it depends on how well Kingzone play the next few matches. Like, um, they're going to be against SKT next week,
Hmm.
and I think that'll be a decent um, gauge on how good Kingzone actually are. Can they stomp an SKT that seems to be growing in strength with this sort of Blossom, Wolf, and Tara comp, or will they sort of falter like they seem to do so against the Freak of Freaks in game one of last week?
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for. I think it was either the last week or the second to last week. Kingzone and KT are going to be playing.
Yeah,
Uh, so I'm excited. I think that match is going to be for me the determining factor of which of these teams should be the first place team. KT started off kind of rough, and then Pawn being
yeah.
inconsistent, losing against Rocks Tigers. That's definitely cost them the first place spot. In fact, they would if they would have won that one. Um, If they would have won that one 2-0, then I think they would be second place still, but they would be a lot closer to securing that first place spot. And
Yeah,
then if Kingzone for some not gonna happen, but if Kingzone were to some reason get swept by Kongdu, I think that would put them in first place for KT. But both of those are situations that aren't. Well, the first one is a situation that didn't happen. They lost to Rocks. Second situation most likely isn't going to happen, so we won't be seeing them getting first place anytime soon.
yeah.
But
Well, Kingzone did lose to Barbecue last week, so
yeah, you never know.
maybe
Maybe
just as yeah, maybe it just as bad teams are the kryptonite for Kingzone. They just don't know how to play against
if
people who don't know how to play.
if you're on the verge of relegation, just play Kingzone. They don't know how to play against you.
Clearly, this leads up to TSM winning Worlds confirmed.
Oh my yeah, TSM gonna make it to the World Finals against
Because
KSV.
there's no team right now that knows what to do less than TSM, right? So
Exactly. If you're trying to find your identity as a team, just play Kingzone and you will win. You'll find your identity.
yeah,
Like this,
yeah, exactly.
the worst team that makes it past groups needs to play Kingzone in the World Finals, and that's how you win Worlds.
Yeah,
But
clearly.
it's on the note of worst teams. Let's talk about mid-tier teams. Going back to the standings, like bottom five, we have SKT, Jin BBQ, MVP, Kongdu. But as far as the mid-tier teams go, we'll say KSV, Rocks, SKT, Jin and BBQ. Of
Yeah.
those five teams, which do you see taking the fourth and the fifth spot for playoffs?
Um, I would say just based on experience alone, SKT and KSV, Rocks have a shot of taking the fifth spot off of KSV, but with how strong SKT have been playing in the past few series, I don't see them getting anything other than fourth, which worries me to think about because SKT in playoffs is always a completely different beast. They're always ridiculously
Yes,
strong.
yeah, Summer Split showed that for sure.
Yeah, but um, really, you have to face the reality of yeah, this team's playing really solidly. Uh, they've been losing a couple of matches still, but they went before the Africa series. I believe they went on a 4 series win streak. So, like, they are going up in the standings, and it
Mhm.
doesn't seem like anything really, at least in the mid tier, can stop them.
For me, like mid tier, as far as well, obviously first, second, and third are going to be Kingzone, KT,
Yeah,
and Africa. Matter the order really can go any way. Still, we still got a long way to go. But as far as below that for the fourth and fifth, that's a toss up between all the mid tier teams. For me though, I see Rocks getting fourth and then SKT getting fifth, or switch it around. I think the World's Curse is starting to come back now that a team besides SKT has won Worlds, and I definitely see KSV being the first victim to the new World's Curse now that it's
yeah,
actually coming into effect. Hit SKT a little bit late, didn't hit them till they made it to the World's Finals the third time in a row, but uh, now it's back. It's come for KSV, and I don't see them making playoffs.
yeah. I mean, it did hit SKT the first time they won Worlds, where their team just fell completely apart with Piglet and Pumandu and such. They just couldn't win anything after that. But that was the huge reign of the Samsung sister teams. So we all know what happened there.
uh,
But yeah, as for right now, yeah, I feel like barbecue, like being ahead of Jenner right now, seems to be a bit like just sort of lucky. Um, they've been decent, but I don't feel like they're gonna be anywhere near like as good as Jenner at the end of things. I think they're probably gonna secure eighth place, and that's decent. I mean, at least they're not relegation tier, but it's not something to be desired.
Yeah, for sure. But let's talk about something else I wanted to talk about. Uh, let's let's I didn't want to talk about it, but let's talk about it. Kongdu Monster, man. I was talking about this briefly earlier. Um, Going from being excited about them to now they're in relegation. They're in relegation danger. Let's actually go from talking to mid-tier teams to bottom-tier teams. We have MVP and Kongdu, possibly BBQ or Jin Air also are not really in the danger of relegation, but they are only 1 or 2 wins ahead, depending on who you're talking about, above MVP and Kongdu. Of all these teams, do you think that MVP and Kongdu are the set in stone relegation teams, or do you think maybe there's a possibility for Kongdu or MVP to climb out of it?
Um, at the moment, it seems like they're pretty secure in relegation, but uh, they could MVP could possibly squeeze out and push BBQ back to ninth place, which um, would mean they're not quite relegation tier, but both MVP and Kongdo have looked pretty unimpressive. MVP for basically the whole split. Kongdo just recently, where they started off pretty strong, but they haven't seemed to like keep that foothold, and after losing, they just seem to be losing consistently now. So maybe that's sort of a psychological thing where they can't get it into their heads that they should be winning, but
Hmm.
hey, bottom tier teams,
Yeah,
honestly, yeah.
for for me, I really want to believe that Kongdu can turn around, but
Yeah.
I just don't believe it. I think that there's a possibility of either BBQ or Jin Air being ninth place instead of MVP, just because
Yeah.
they've been showing signs of a turnaround. But more than likely, we're gonna see these two teams in relegation. So I don't know, but something that I want to talk about briefly. All the 8.4 patch.
Yeah.
Specifically, ability power items. All these items. Faker was talking about it the other day. Which champion did he say would start coming back in meta? I can't remember which one.
I can't recall off the top of my head, sorry.
Hold on. I can find this really quickly, I think. Maybe. Oh, he said Rise and Cassiopeia will be better. Zoe won't be used as much.
Yeah.
Yeah, which we talked about
I mean,
Zoe. We talked about Zoe the other day on this patch.
yeah.
Getting fairly harsh nerfs, but Rise, Cassiopeia, I agree. Do you agree with those two coming back into the meta?
Uh, I definitely agree with
Yeah,
Cassiopeia.
for sure.
Why is it um the item that stores allied and enemy spell casts and gives movement speed and
Oh,
up to 100
the
AP is
Spellbinder, right?
something. Yeah, that's something that she's gonna absolutely adore.
And I feel
And
the same way with Rise as well. Yeah.
yeah, Rise for
Uh,
not only that, but I think Rise is gonna really love the changes to Tier and
yeah, Archane.
Archangels.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Saris Embrace is gonna be really nice when it's fully
yeah,
upgraded. Now,
especially since that gives more mana, doesn't
yeah,
it? Now?
yeah, they give
Yeah,
it more mana and they give it cooldown reduction.
yeah, 20%, which
Yeah.
is insane. So
Well,
yeah, I can definitely see
it's
that.
10% and then it has the haste cooldown, which some other ability power items have. I
Yeah,
think Luden's Echo has haste, right? Yeah, it
yeah,
does.
Luden's Echo, the Super Soaker item, and
The Super Soaker
um,
item? Which one
that's
is
what I
that? The
call it at
GLP?
least. That yeah, it's the like
The
JLP
Super
900
Soaker.
Super Soaker, dude.
Oh,
Have
I'm
you
gonna
seen
start calling it
somebody
that.
use
That's
the
awesome.
active? It
It
looks
does
like
look like a
a
Super Soaker. Oh my god. Why didn't I ever
yeah, it's the
think
Super
about that?
Soaker.
That's fucking great. Super Soaker.
So
Oh,
that's
Hextech
get
Super
haste on
Soaker.
it, and
Oh my gosh.
obviously Archangels has Um,
Yeah.
Haste.
Lost Chapter also has haste. I
Yeah,
know, like a lot of people will hold on to Lost Chapter for a long time. Some people do
yeah.
that. But something else I want to talk about. I talked about this with you. I've talked about this with other people. All of these items, especially with the death cap buff, I'm and the Rylai's buff as well. I think that Victor as well is gonna start coming back into the meta. So this one specifically for Kuro and Crown, I need them to start playing Victor again. So my argument of Kuro is greater than Crown can go even further. Now that Crown's slumping, he's gonna start. Maybe I think Crown's gonna start pulling out the pocket pick some more of this Victor.
The
Does
best, the best thing Crown did on Vector was pick up a feeding double lift kill.
yeah.
That is it.
Also, no, I'm not gonna lie. That kill that he got against Faker, it was the 25th,
Oh
2016 World
yeah,
Finals. Yeah, 20 because 2015 was coup. 2016
yeah.
World Finals. That was actually when I saw that happen. Oh my God, that was
I'll,
so.
I'll I'll admit he has good plays, but that was
Yeah,
the silliest thing he's ever done.
yeah.
Like,
That's and really
oh
it was
god,
like a pretty clean play, but it wasn't like holy moly, he just outplayed Faker. He used his
oh
ultimate in
god,
Ghost and got all of
yeah,
his ultimate procs.
yeah. It was really,
He did
it
flash
was
the
really,
Orianna ultimate at the last second though. I thought that was pretty clean.
yeah. Um, yeah, I think Victor's probably gonna be pretty good. I feel like he does a little bit poorly against Cassiopeia, and that might be a problem. But
Yeah, especially with
other
Cassiopeia coming
mages,
back.
yeah,
But
other mages he can bully out, and he can just clear waves.
if I could
Uh,
see any lane happen, I would want to see Faker's Cassiopeia, and on this patch, Faker's Cassiopeia versus Kuro or Crown's Victor, either or. I would want to see that so bad.
I would really enjoy seeing BDD's Talia go up against something like Faker's Cassiopeia or even Kuro's Victor, because that would be really interesting. Because BDD's been completely and utterly solid on the Talia pick, so it
Yeah,
would be a real
his,
like sort of
I almost said her. His Talia mechanics are really clean. I
yeah,
think Talia's also. I was trying it out. Talia's Spellbinder on Talia is pretty good.
yeah.
It's really.
She'll love the new
Yeah.
Morellonomicon as well with
Oh
the
yeah, for
spell
sure.
pen.
Oh yeah. It's really good for turning around team fights, popping that Spellbinder with Talia,
Yeah.
and then your Q does like suddenly a whole lot more damage, and the other team's confused as to why that's happening.
Um, in relation to 8.4 as well, like, what do you think's going to be the impact of the change to jungle and taking away the um the
The
what is it, the warding knife?
Yeah, they took away what was the item called? Tracker's knife, right? Yeah, Tracker's
Yeah,
knife.
trackers.
And
Yeah,
they also took away the blasting cones. I think that
yeah,
that's
or
going to make. I'm really looking forward to it going live. Uh, Not a lot of people watch.
especially with somebody like Blossom in the jungle
Oh
who
yeah,
seems to be completely like 100% just aggression, aggression,
yeah.
aggression.
Someone like
That's going to be really interesting
Spirit.
for SKT.
If you watch his jungle pathing in game, he
Yeah,
really relies on his vision. That's what Africa really in general relies on their vision, and they're good about all of them buying control wards and putting them in good spots. However, a big thing is the tracker's knife or the blast cone to control vision on both sides of the jungle, and I think that's really gonna test junglers like Spirit. It's gonna test junglers like Blossom. Oh my God, that voice crack. Like Blossom. Who are some other junglers that rely on vision? Really
score
all,
as well.
yeah, score
Yeah,
for sure. A lot of, really most of the junglers rely on vision, but specifically, Spirit, like I said, score, like you said, Blossom.
yeah,
Haru and Ambition both are fairly reliant on vision. And
yeah,
Peanut, especially, not only for him, but playing against Peanut. Like
yeah.
this is gonna. I think it's gonna come to the disadvantage of every jungler except Peanuts, because now Peanuts like, yay, I can counter jungle all I want now.
Yeah, I mean, like I can gank mid whenever because they're never gonna have vision pre 6 minutes or before first back.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be really fun. Like it is gonna be pretty interesting, like seeing whether um the same sort of like tanky junglers are gonna be picked because they seem like they could be picked on by sort of more aggressive junglers, especially with like the revert to Rengar Q.
Hmm.
Maybe he'll come in and just start assassinating people in the jungle. So
Uh,
yeah, 8.4 is going to be an interesting patch to watch.
oh yeah, it is. I'm definitely looking forward to it now. Let's talk
Yeah.
about one more thing. Bold prediction for the rest of this week. Just to give you a quick reminder, remaining 4 matches are Kongdu versus Kingzone, Rocks versus BBQ, SKT versus Jinair, and KSV versus MVP. For me, my bold prediction is gonna be MVP not only beats KSV, but they're gonna sweep them. It's gonna be a 2-0 against KSV.
Uh, my bold prediction is gonna be Jin Green Wings are gonna be SKT. It's
That's
not
not
gonna be a
necessarily
2-0.
bold. Come on, you gotta get more bold than that. Like, I'm predicting a bottom tier team beating a middle tier team, and you're just predicting like something that could happen.
Alright. Like, since you asked for it, Kongdu Monster 2 Kingzone.
2-0.
Bottom tier teams
If that
just
okay,
absolutely annihilating Kingzone.
if if Kongdu Monster is able to sweep Kingzone, I'll PayPal the first Kongdu Monster fan to PM me if they manage. I'll PayPal you. I don't fucking know. What? Hold on. Let me do a quick conversion here.
You should
Uh.
PayPal them. You should PayPal them the KDA of Roach at the
Oh
end of the
yes,
series.
I'll PayPal you the KDA of Roach. That's perfect. In whatever currency you want, I'll PayPal you the KDA of Roach. Oh my god, that's gonna be great. I should do
It'll
that
end
for like
up
an
being
actual. I
like
should do that for an actual game though. Like, whichever team wins, I'll PayPal you the KDA of the highest play of the MVP.
yeah,
But
yeah.
anyways, yeah, that's gonna be it for this time. Please, Kingzone, don't lose. All right, actually do lose because then KT has a chance of getting first, and it'll be worth it. Uh,
Yeah.
you wanna you
I
wanna
mean,
say you wanna say anything funny before we leave?
uh, I'm really looking forward to Kongdu destroying Kingzone. That's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, you heard it here first. Kongdu are gonna sweep Kingzone. Heard it here first.
Yeah.
That's it. Adios.
Adios.